He's gone.
What may have happened?
He got killed by a snake.
By a snake?
He raised this large 500-pound snake. There's no gun.
A secluded property in rural Missouri, home to thousands of exotic snakes, is about to become a crime scene where nothing adds up. A woman calls 911, hysterical, saying her husband is dead. Minutes later, another caller tells dispatch something even stranger. He thinks a snake did it, not just any snake. A 500-pound anaconda that might still be loose somewhere in the building. Deputies show up armed, terrified of an animal attack.
Oh my God, my brother's dead.
I understand you have an anaconda. Where's it at? I know it's difficult right now, but we need to make sure nobody else gets hurt.
What they find instead is a man shot 8 times. This is the story of how a snake breeder's wife tried to convince investigators an animal killed her husband, and how a shell casing on the floor unraveled the entire plan. Her name is Lindley Renick, born in Missouri in 1988. She reconnected with a childhood acquaintance named Ben Renick back in 2011, and the two moved fast.
It's called Missouri Home. Some might think she lives a pretty cool life. She's married to one of the country's most respected breeders of rare and exotic snakes. He sells snakes to buyers all over.
Lindley already had a son from a previous relationship, and Ben stepped into the father role without hesitation. By 2014, they were married. Soon after, they had a child together, and on paper, their life looked enviable. Ben built one of the most respected exotic snake breeding operations in the country, selling rare reptiles to buyers across the globe. Lindley ran the business side and later opened a day spa of her own. 2 businesses, 2 kids, a property full of animals worth millions. From the outside, they had built something most people only dream about. But money like that comes with pressure most people never see. Behind the scenes, bills were piling up faster than the business could cover them. Employees needed paying. Loans needed servicing. And somewhere in the middle of all that stress, Lindley's attention started drifting outside her marriage. She was involved with at least 2 other men during their time together. Whether Ben knew the full extent of it is unclear, but the tension in that house was building long before June 8, 2017, the day everything exploded.
The Renicks are facing financial pressure, which becomes a source of tension between them. Around the same time, Lindley's eye starts to wander outside of her marriage. We've learned Lindley has been unfaithful to Ben with at least 2 other men. It's unclear if Lindley and Ben can survive the betrayal.
That morning, a 911 dispatcher picks up a call from Lindley. She's frantic, barely able to get words out. She says she came home, walked into the snake facility, and found Ben on the ground in a pool of blood. When the dispatcher asks what happened, Lindley says she has no idea. She ran outside before she could even process what she was looking at. Then Ben's brother Sam arrives on scene and calls 911 himself. And this is where the story takes its first strange turn. Sam tells the dispatcher he thinks a snake is responsible. Not just any snake. He raised anacondas that weighed over 500 pounds, and Sam is convinced one of them got loose and killed his brother.
We don't have anything that would do that.
I understand you have an anaconda. Where's it at?
Deputies are dispatched under that exact assumption, walking into a facility full of exotic animals. More worried about a rogue predator than a human suspect. Claim number 1, a snake did this. It sounds absurd, but on a property like this, it's not impossible, and for a few critical hours, investigators treat it as a real possibility. Then the coroner arrives and finds something a snake could never leave behind. A shell casing, just feet from Ben's body. The wounds aren't bite marks. They're bullet holes. The snake theory collapses in an instant, and now investigators are looking at a homicide.
But when the coroner arrives on scene, they make a surprising discovery. They find a shell casing just a few feet from Ben's body. The marks aren't from a snake.
The next claim comes from Lindley herself. She tells detectives she has no idea who could have wanted Ben dead. despite the fact that she just admitted to affairs and financial strain hanging over their marriage. Investigators run a gunshot residue test on her hands. It comes back inconclusive, so she's free to go, for now.
But could evidence tell a different story?
What we'd like to do is, if you're willing, is to do a gunshot residue swabs on your hands. It's just all daubers, and we might do that real quick if you're okay with that. Okay.
11 days later, she's back, and this time investigators want to know about her personal life. She finally admits to an affair, but claims it ended months earlier. Small inconsistency. Keep that in mind.
How long has that been?
Maybe over the past 6 months or so.
For a while.
It has to.
Then comes Claim 3, the big one. In October 2017, Lindley sits for a polygraph. She fails. Every question about her involvement comes back as deception.
And so the results of the polygraph showed that you failed the test. Every question that I asked you concerning the relevant issue, which is whether you were involved in any way, when you answered no, it showed that you were lying. And what I know is when I ask you that question, did you shoot him?
But even with a failed polygraph, investigators aren't convinced she pulled the trigger herself. They believe she talked to someone, directed someone. When pressed on who she'd really been seeing, she admits she lied earlier about the timeline of her affair, too. Another inconsistency, another collapse. Here's where the case should have been airtight. Instead, investigators hit a wall. No physical evidence ties Lindley directly to the shooting. For nearly 3 years, the case goes cold. No arrests, no charges. Just a widow living her life while a killer or killers remain free. Then, in January 2020, a jailhouse tip changes everything. A witness claims Lindley didn't act alone. She recruited a former client, a man named Michael Humphrey, and asked him to come with her to confront Ben. Investigators bring Humphrey in, and what he describes is chilling. He says Lindley tried handing him a gun before they even walked inside.
I go out there, and then when we're walking up, she kind of hung back, which I thought was weird. And then we're standing there. He come outside first initially. She tries to hand me a gun, and I kind of, not to say I act like a...
He refused it. Moments later, as he stood near the snake enclosures, a shot rang out. He turned to see Lindley holding the weapon. More shots followed as he ran for the car.
All of a sudden, shots rang. I ducked like this and everything. I looked back up. She still got the gun out like this and everything. I turned around and ran for the door. I heard probably another one, maybe two, I don't know. And by the time I'm standing by the car, I asked her what happened, you know what I mean?
Picture it. June 8th, 2017, a clear, ordinary afternoon. Humphrey's beat-up car pulls up to the property. Ben steps outside carrying a bag of trash. Lindley is visibly nervous, rambling something about Humphrey being interested in buying a snake. She takes the trash, just to buy herself a few extra seconds. Inside, something is said between the two men, something about Lindley's infidelity, something about Ben's temper. Then the gun comes out. 8 shots, at least 4 in Ben's back. Ashley Shaw, a friend of Lindley's who worked at her spa, later testifies that she helped build a fake alibi that day, sending texts from Lindley's phone to make it look like she never left the building.
Why would you help your boss try to kill her husband?
I think I felt sorry for her. It was a surreal situation, so it's kind of hard to explain what I was feeling at the time, but it didn't really seem, when I talk about it now, it obviously seems...
At trial, the defense argues Humphrey acted alone, that Lindley was simply present for a difficult conversation about divorce that spiraled out of control. But on cross-examination, prosecutors dismantle that story piece by piece.
Yes.
You are a willing participant in killing or in covering up Michael Humphrey killing Ben Renick, correct?
Yes, I'm so sorry.
And now, those men sitting in the back that were seeking justice who you lied to about the true killer, you now want these 12 people to believe you, correct?
Yes.
She admits she never told police the truth that night. She admits to protecting Humphrey instead of naming him. Every version of her story required believing she was terrified of a man she brought with her voluntarily and somehow never suspected a gun was involved. After nearly 12 hours of deliberation, the jury returns a verdict. Guilty of second-degree murder. Guilty of armed criminal action. Lindley is sentenced to 16 years. Humphrey, convicted separately, receives life. Ben's brother Sam stands up at sentencing and says what a lot of people were already thinking, that the woman who once played devastated widow in front of investigators had spent years building an elaborate lie to protect herself.
To this day, I truly believe that Lindley Renick was the one that pulled the trigger, unloading 8 bullets into the back of my brother, Benjamin Renick. And I believe that evidence strongly supports that. Lindley covered up her actions for years, and she told countless lies to protect herself and to deceive others about her involvement in this case. After creating an alibi, her and Michael drove his car to our family property to murder Ben so that her car would not be seen. After executing my brother and cleaning up the evidence of her involvement, she immediately proceeded to build a web of lies that touched so many people. She led me directly to my brother's body and then put on a show, an act, a display that will forever haunt me for the rest of my days. She cried over my brother's dead body, yelling why, how, pretending to me that she did not know what she had done to this beautiful young man.